What's up and what's happening, TPE fam? We're back with another episode of the Pivot Experience podcast, where our goal is to help you be a better leader. On today's episode, we have Leiah Roberson, the owner of the Little Things Marketing Company, where she exclusively serves Chick-fil-A operators to help them in all of their marketing needs. I'm so excited for this conversation today. Leiah is currently on a countrywide tour where she is going to see over 200 operators. And so this conversation is rich of those experiences, and she talks about her business as well. So can't wait for you guys to jump into the episode. Let's go. What's up and what's happening, TPE family? We're back with another episode of the Pivot Experience podcast, where our aim and goal is to help leaders get better. On today's show, I've got a very special guest, and actually, I'm going to be a little bit transparent with you guys. As you guys know, the previous guest that I've had on here has been through association through LinkedIn, just in networking and talking to people, just trying to connect with other like-minded individuals. And one day, this young lady reached out to me from her marketing company to want to help out with the newsletter. And I wanted to oblige. I wanted to tell her yes. Man, let me tell you, this lady is a hustler. She was in her car, having meetings left and right. It must have been, I think, when we initially met, was like 8 o'clock at nighttime on my side. The first time we had the opportunity to meet. And that just really, to me, speaks to her ambition, speaks to her urgency in wanting to make sure her business runs and thrives. I am talking about, and a lot of you guys in the Chick-fil-A world know this young lady. I am talking about Leiah Roberson. Thank you so much for coming onto the platform. Thank you so much for inviting TPE into your business in a little bit of a capacity. I know
Yeah,
you're busy. I know you're running right now. You're on a national tour, going from Chick-fil-A to Chick-fil-A. So for you to take a little bit of time out to spend with us is incredible, and we greatly appreciate it. How are you doing today?
of course, Alex. I'm great. I will pay you the $50 later for that beautiful intro that I paid you to do. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, kind words. I appreciate it. And I'm doing well. I was just telling you before we recorded, I'm actually home in my bed in my apartment with my dogs for 48 unexpected hours, thanks to the Microsoft outage that just messed with flights. So I tried for about 24 hours to get out to where I was supposed to go, but five canceled flights. And I finally was like, you know what? I think this is a sign from the Lord. I'm going to stay put and just enjoy a couple days at home before I hit the next city. So yeah, I appreciate flexibility scheduling, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, God must have knew you needed a little rest, just a little bit.
Seriously.
But yet you're here with me, so I guess we're not going to rest too much.
Yeah.
So I just want to get right to it. Leiah, from my understanding, you used to work at Chick-fil-A as a marketing director. Now you've transitioned into a 100% on your own as a entrepreneur and business owner. Can you talk about your journey from starting at Chick-fil-A to now owning and operating the Little Things Marketing Company?
Yeah, of course. So my Chick-fil-A story kind of begins way back when my mom, when I was probably early teenager, started working at a Chick-fil-A, and she kind of worked her way up. And over the last 10, 15 years, I'm one of eight, so I have seven siblings. And all seven of my siblings worked at Chick-fil-A from the day they turned 15 until pretty much they graduated college, and some still work there. But my pride would not let me work at a fast food restaurant. And so for years, I boycotted it. I nannied, I babysat, I made money elsewhere. Fast forward to 2022, I just gotten out of a pretty long stint of ministry. I worked at a church for almost 5 years and had a pretty rough exiting there. And so I was kind of like figuring out what I wanted to do. And my best friend's dad owned a Chick-fil-A. And so he very graciously was like, hey, we know kind of leaving ministry was really hard and you're trying to get back on your feet, figure out what you want to do. Come work for my store, join the marketing team, and then kind of just like get back on your feet, figure out what you want to do. Was really gracious and just kind of letting me come with no like commitment of time or commitment of anything like that. And so I did. I worked there for 8 months and I fell in love very quickly with the culture of Chick-fil-A, with the vision of Chick-fil-A, the values of stores. I had a really good operator and he led his team really well. And so just had a really good experience working there, Chick-fil-A Clemens in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And so worked there for 8 months and then started to realize I kind of wanted to start my own thing. And I left in August of 2022, started my own marketing company with no real intention of working with Chick-fil-A's. At the time, I was doing like businesses, churches, nonprofits, other things like that. But a church, or I'm sorry, a Chick-fil-A in Omaha, Nebraska reached out and was just like, hey, I'm curious if you still do Chick-fil-A social media. We've seen your stuff. And one thing led to another, and I took them on as a client. And so that's kind of what began. So that was my very first Chick-fil-A client in August of 2022. And so I've worked with them for quite a while. And so as time kind of evolved, I was kind of growing my business, doing, businesses and churches and gyms and things like that. And kind of behind the scenes, I started working with more and more Chick-fil-A's as word of mouth spread and things like that. And so fast forward another year, August of 2023, so almost a year ago, I decided, you know what, it may make sense to kind of branch out and have my main marketing company and then start the Little Things Marketing as another just kind of small business where I just focus on Chick-fil-A's. And so for about 3 or 4 months, I was doing both. I had 5 or 6 Chick-fil-A's, and then I had probably 10 to 15, give or take, clients over here that I was working with on a monthly kind of consistent basis. And yeah, and then one thing led to another, and here we are, the last bit of 2023. We may get into this kind of a little bit later when we start talking about my tour and what started that. But towards the end of 2023, I had just kind of had this wake up moment. I was getting out of a pretty serious relationship and was just going through a lot of hurt and just figuring out life, and was kind of knocked, on my feet. And I found myself coming face to face with this reality that like my reality, like what I was telling the world and kind of how I was operating behind the scenes, those two things were not equal. And so externally, I was coming across like this, business entrepreneur running a couple businesses, making a lot of money, doing really well. That's what I was externally kind of unintentionally putting out. But then inside, I was just like losing my mind. I was working crazy hours. A lot of my relationships were hurting, barely got time with family, barely got time for myself. I gained a lot of weight. And so I just made the decision to get rid of everything and keep the Little Things Marketing, and dissolved my marketing company within a couple months, let go of my other business, and walked into 2024 with I think 6 Chick-fil-A's and a dream and a vision. And yeah, that's kind of what started it all.
So I know this is relatively new to you, and in terms of just solely focusing on Chick-fil-A's, and I don't know how much we can really get into this facet of the conversation, because I think this is the most intriguing thing to me: the business within the business of Chick-fil-A. Like Chick-fil-A is so big and so specific on what they're looking for. I think there's smaller opportunities for businesses to solely work with them. Like we see it
Mm.
in the tech space. There's different applications that are geared towards. Now, of course, I think they probably welcome other quick service restaurants, but they're really specifically geared towards Chick-fil-A. Do you see yourself continuing that model, just solely working with Chick-fil-A's, or do you see yourself growing outside of that? And then if you do plan on doing that, again, I'm totally off script here.
Yeah.
If you do continue that, at what number of clients do you feel like, well, I'm satisfied, or is there a number? Are you satisfied?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I am pretty strongly committed to just Chick-fil-A's. I get asked, I've probably been asked a couple times here in the last month if I still take on other clients, and I just say, hey, I'm solely working with Chick-fil-A's, and that's kind of my plan is to, I think I've found a niche. I think there's a really like niche opportunity, especially in the marketing world. There's not a lot of other marketing companies that really focus on just Chick-fil-A's. And so for us to be able to kind of enter into this space as a company that just works with Chick-fil-A's. We spend all of our hours studying the Chick-fil-A market, studying what works, studying the events, studying the language, the brand, the different campaigns going on. Like, I think there's a lot of value in that, that in the long run will really serve our company being a company that just focuses on Chick-fil-A marketing. So yeah, I plan on doing this for as long as the Lord will let me and really focusing on Chick-fil-A's and yeah, as long as
Oh,
it keeps paying the bill growing, I'm here.
there you go. There you go. So now, I know I mentioned earlier that you're on this national tour. Like I remember the day you posted it. I was like, that. This is bold. This is ambitious.
What
This
the
is
heck are you doing?
not necessarily going against the grain, but again, I was like, wow. If you're really going to place your bets and go all in, why not do this? And I'm going to let you talk more into it. I am referring to your citywide, I'm sorry, your countrywide tour. Can you go into detail, like what inspired you to do that? Like what happened? I'm sure it was like some like a breakthrough moment, an aha moment, or something that had
Yeah.
to spark that thought to for you to even have the courage to say, I'm going to go do this. What was that all about?
It's so funny because I've gotten asked that question a good bit of just like, what was going through your mind? And honestly, like looking back, there was nothing, not that there was nothing going on in my mind, but there was nothing alarming me. Like, this is a crazy idea that you're doing. I just was like, huh, I'm going to do it. And then a couple days in, I was like, okay, this is crazy. What is happening? Um, yeah. So I would say like fast forward to or kind of rewind to the beginning of 2024. I was just personally, right? Like this tour kind of branched out of a really vulnerable personal place that I was at. And I'm pretty big right now on just kind of like vulnerability and transparency, kind of getting human to human with each other. And so, and full transparency, the beginning of 2024 was really, really, really hard for me. I was kind of grieving a relationship. I was just really sad and I felt really hopeless. And um, I thankfully had a team that worked really hard and they kind of helped with a lot of the operation side of things. So all of our, typical social media clients, all of our main operation clients were pretty well taken care of by the team. And so I was not working a lot, like January, February, March. I probably worked 5 to 7 hours a week, making sure the team was good, doing some LinkedIn networking stuff, really kind of growing the business behind the scenes. But I really just spent some time just getting healthy. So I was at the gym a lot. I was really working on just kind of reprioritizing my life and rebalancing my life and trying to get back on my feet after a hard season. And it felt like the hard season just kept getting harder. And so um, I just had this like very vulnerable moment where I called my parents and I was like, I think I need to come home for a little bit because I need some extra support right now. And it's a pretty vulnerable thing to be moving back home. I mean, I wasn't moving home, but packed up my dogs, packed up my apartment, and left with not really an end date. And so I was in Florida for 3 or 4 weeks, and the last weekend I was home, I was due to come back to Winston for a weekend because I was shooting an event here, and I was sitting on the beach, and I just realized like how good it was for me to be traveling and for me to be kind of away from home right now and kind of in my own little world and seeing things and just change of routine. And so, all the while I was also, my family was kind of joking with me like, Leah, it's probably time you work again. Like, you're working 5 hours a week and then you're just on the beach all day. Like, it's probably time you consider working. You're 26, you're young, you don't have kids. And so I just found myself in this place where I was like, man, I'm really passionate about little things marketing. At that point, we had probably grown from 5 or 6 the beginning of the year to probably about 12 or 14 at this point. And so we had kind of experienced a lot of growth the beginning of this year just through LinkedIn and networking and things like that. And so I was like, man, I'm really passionate about the little things marketing, what we do. I want people to know more about it. I want to grow awareness of our company. And then also personally, I want to travel. Like, I want to get out there. I want to get uncomfortable. I want to get out of my own way. And so I was trying to figure out a way to do both of those things. And I woke up one night at like 2 in the morning and went to the restroom and was just laying in bed, couldn't quite fall back asleep. And I had this idea of how could I combine traveling full time and growing the business? Like, what would that look like? And so, my business, like, I've always kind of been entrepreneur, like in my core, and so just started thinking about all these different ideas. And so I'm like, okay, what can I offer Chick-fil-A operators that's really appealing to them that they would then invite me into their store and like allow me the chance to meet them? And so I was thinking, what we do. And I already offer these content sessions for the clients that work with us. So the clients that sign up to work with us, we go to them once a year. And so I was like, why don't I just plan all my client visits this summer, figure out where I'm already going, and then maybe try to reach out to the Chick-fil-A surrounding those locations because I'm already there. I'm already paying for the flights, add an extra hotel or two, and be able to visit, a couple more Chick-fil-A's. So I had the idea, to just basically say, hey, I'm offering free 60-minute photo shoots. Would love to come to your Chick-fil-A, and that be that. Right. So I wake up the next morning, I sleep on it. I wake up, I tell my sister, I tell my parents, and they all were like, yeah, that's brilliant. Honestly, that's really smart. And so I went on LinkedIn at around 3 p.m. on a Saturday and posted, the post that you're talking about. I just
Mhm.
said, hey, I'm Leiah. I'm the owner of Little Things Marketing. Listen, I found myself at a really unique place personally where I really want to travel and I want to grow the business. I want to grow the reach. I want to grow awareness of Little Things Marketing. And so I would love to come to your Chick-fil-A, offer free 60-minute photo shoots, come hang out with you and the team. Um, Comment below, if I should come to your store. And I had a family event that night. And so I put my phone away. I was with family for most of the night. And then I picked my phone back up on the drive home. And I remember I was in the Buc-ee's parking lot in Daytona Beach. And I pulled it up and I literally had like 117 bookings. And I looked at my mom and I was like, oh no. I was like, I don't know what I've done. That's a lot of bookings. That's a lot of different cities. And so, man, I was up all night. I think I pulled an all-nighter. I was just looking up all these Chick-fil-A's, plugging all the addresses in this big map. And I was like, holy cow, at this point, I mean, I'm all the way from California, Puerto Rico, like New York. I was all over the map. And so I just had this moment where I was like, Leiah, like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity where you have 100 plus of your ideal clientele, right? So for my business, my ideal clientele are Chick-fil-A operators. And so when you think about the world of marketing, like some people will pay ads to get in front of a whole city because their whole city is their ideal clientele, right? Like Starbucks and grocery stores and law firms and all this stuff. Like they don't really have a really focused clientele. For my company, my ideal clientele is literally this small. And so the best way to market is to literally get in front of operators, is just to meet them, shake their hand, like hang out with them. And so I was like, this is the best way to do so. And so I I thought on it for like a day or so and just was like, are you going to do this? Like, are you going to be on the road for at this point probably 6 months? Like, are you going to leave your comfortable apartment and your very comfortable routine? And are you gonna do this? And I just decided to full send it. And so a couple days later, I went on my website. I put an official booking form where people could like officially add their address, their contact info. At that point, I added on add-ons so people could purchase like extra packages while I'm there to help pay for the travel. So I put a chance for them to put add-ons in there. And then probably within the first week, I had like 200 something bookings. And so 10 days later, after my initial like LinkedIn post, I was on my first flight out. And I think in the last 3 months, I've been home for like 4 nights. So it's been quite the busy adventure so far. So I took off April 30th, and the tour is set to end December 23rd.
You're busy, and that's I'm kind of not say floored, but like just the grit to go from idea to actually walking it out. I think is to be commended first and foremost. What is one of the most memorable things that's happened on the tour so far? I mean, you've got to have some type of quirky story or something really cool, or something really good that happened while you're meeting all these
Yeah.
operators.
Man, memorable is funny. So I have all this traveling nightmare stories. I've had like the worst luck. You can scroll through my LinkedIn. I got locked. My Airbnb I stayed at an Airbnb once the whole time. I typically have been staying with friends in hotels. It's just easier. Stayed at Airbnb. My first night there, the door handle breaks and I'm locked inside of my bedroom, cannot get out of my bedroom. So ended up being this whole thing. I had to like harass my Airbnb owner because he was saying it was my fault, wouldn't let me out. He finally sent a locksmith. I like was walking the streets of Pittsburgh to get to a hotel at like 2 in the morning. It was like a literal nightmare. But thankfully Airbnb handled it and he's no longer an Airbnb host. But that's probably one of my like crazier traveling stories. I've been stuck pulling all-nighters in the Atlanta airport twice already, so I've gotten quite good at sleeping in airport chairs. But I would say like professionally, man, just the ability to observe. I mean, at this point, I think I've met 60, 70-ish different operators. Um, just being able to observe 70 different operators and hear their story of how they became operator, hear how different all of their stories are, and then to see their leadership style in action, like on the floor in operations, has been such a cool experience. And it's been my favorite part, honestly, about this whole tour is getting to just meet the operators and like hear their story, but then also see and hear how they lead their people and run their business. I think especially as another business owner and someone that is really I love business. I love the world of business and just the mindset and the all of that that goes into running a business. That has been the coolest thing for me is like just getting to talk to different operators and like observe how they lead and how they operate their business and kind of just like pile all of these little wisdoms I'm learning, all these little nuggets of wisdom, all these lessons, all these tools, resources. Yeah, just like from just sitting with them, I'm hanging out with these operators for probably 2 hours at a time, and spending like decent bit of time with them. And so I would say that's probably been like the most memorable like thing about the tour so far, and the thing I'm probably most excited for the months to come.
Yeah, because I would imagine this is much more than a marketing trip. Sure, you are the marketing guru when you walk into the door, but I think I always love the opportunity when you get to sit at the feet of somebody who's doing it at a level that you would like to do it at some point in terms of the volume, in terms of just the mindset and the understanding. So to be able to absorb 60 operators over the course of what has this been, 3 months, 4 months,
3 months.
that's really intense, and I think that's you should be able to write a book by the end of this, as in some regard, just in terms of just all the different points you'd be able to hit. And then the mentalities are
Yeah,
different when you go from one part of the country to another. I'm sure like the operators on the West Coast are facing different challenges than the operators in the Midwest or the operators on the East Coast. And so just being
sure.
able to have that functionality, and plus I think it that speaks to your business because you're not boxed in either. You have the
Mm.
experience of being able to speak into those different markets and different demographics, so you can really tailor the marketing plan or strategy towards what that operator needs, no matter what part of the country that they're in. And so I think that brings me to my next question: what are some of the trends that you're seeing in the Chick-fil-A marketing world? I'll just, before I say that, I come from, when I grew up, and when I was, I won't say when I was your age, when I was younger, we only ran commercials on PBS. That's what I remember. I remember our marketing was really, really, really. There's a phrase, brand guardrails. Those guardrails were
Mhm.
maybe a mile high whenever we were fully into it. And I know now Chick-fil-A's are getting a little bit more, I guess, trendy, I guess you could say. And so, what are some of the things that you're seeing out there that's helping other stores, or things that you're deploying for other stores that are really getting some traction?
Yeah, so there's obviously like when you say trend, I think people immediately think of like the Instagram reels, right? The cutting the coconut, the water sprays on them, and they're like, "Oh, our summer drinks are back." Like there's that trend. And so that's one realm of trends is like what are actually things that are trending in the world of social media, which we don't necessarily focus on a lot because a lot of those are like video content and there's a lot of rules you got to be careful with as far as protecting the Chick-fil-A brand. And so we actually don't do any like reel creation or video trends, stuff like that, TikToks, because we really care about protecting the brand of Chick-fil-A. And that's like a high priority for us with our clients. However, I would say trend, another thing to think of is like, what are you seeing that's working well across the board of Chick-fil-A's, across marketing in general? And so a big thing I've seen a lot of Chick-fil-A shift with, and I know Chick-fil-A corporates actually touched on this, is this idea of emotional marketing. And so I think Chick-fil-A is kind of coming back to that. I think marketing as a whole is kind of coming back to that of longer the days of like billboards of like flashy, numbers and sexy photos. It's actually like, hey, let's get like human to human, and let's get this idea of emotional marketing. Like, let's use emotions, not in a manipulative way, but like in a real raw way of let's use emotions in this, like, there's so many people out there that just crave connection. At the end of a day, strip humans all the way down, we just crave connection. And so how can we capitalize on that in the marketing world, where our marketing is not, our focus is not just how many chicken sandwiches can we sell, how many milkshakes can we promote, but it's, hey, how can we introduce our community with our team members in an emotional way that introduces this community with our team that's running our Chick-fil-A? And then how can we strategically kind of pair that with marketing, right? And so we do a lot of highlighting team members. And in that highlight, we say, hey, what's your favorite product? And if they say my favorite product is the cookies and cream, then maybe we'll craft that specific post to be a little bit focusing on cookies and cream. We'll make the call to action in the caption, hey, come on in and order a cookies and cream milkshake, and cheers to our team member Leiah. And so we've seen a lot more, honestly, even just in the last year of doing this for Chick-fil-A's, a lot of stores are more and more getting to where they want to take that approach of like emotional marketing, because it's so true. Strip us all down, at the end of the day, we're humans, and we desire connection, we desire emotional connection with people. And so I would say that's a trend that I'm seeing a lot of in the marketing world, specifically with Chick-fil-A's, is kind of getting back to that emotional marketing.
Okay, so I'm going. I'm kind of going to rewind our conversation a little bit and go back to your interactions with the operators that you've met with, and I know that you mentioned that just the experience of meeting all of those guys and girls was the memory. But now I guess the question is, what is one interaction with those operators that stuck out to you in terms of like helping you learn about yourself as a business owner or as a human, as you would say? Just like what interaction with the operator has advanced you, Leiah, as the individual?
Yeah, I had a really cool visit with an operator. His name is Tony, out in Houston, Texas. Tony Levine. I'm sure a lot of people on the LinkedIn world know him.
Yeah.
I was really lucky. He asked me to come out to shoot a kids event he was doing, to go capture it and all that good stuff. And so he asked me to grab lunch with him afterwards, which I was really honored to do. And so I sat and had lunch with him and was just getting to, hear more of his story. And it was so cool because prior to this, I was just kind of watching him in the morning, watching him interact with the team, watching him interact with the parents, with the kids. And it was just really beautiful to see this like grown man, he's probably like, I don't know, mid 50s, and was just like so on the same level as his team members. He tapped them all on the back, he patted them all on the back, he called them by name, he made sure when he got there and arrived, to the store, he was saying hey to everyone, he was saying hey to all the parents, getting on the kids' eye level. And just the humility that he exuded was just, really cool and really stuck out to me. And so then sit down with him and I'm having lunch and I'm just hearing his Chick-fil-A story, and I'm asking him questions, like how's it been? What's been going on? And one of the questions that I asked him was, what are your thoughts on a second store? Like, are you eager for one? Are you hungry for one? Are you ready for what's next? And he shared this point where he was like, a couple years ago there was a conversation about a second store, but at the time, like, he was like, I could barely really shepherd my team well here. Like, I didn't know all of them by name. I wasn't really able to really invest in and develop my leaders. So it would be silly of me to then go say yes to the second store and really already be even more spread thin. So he was like, my value in that moment was making sure my current team that the Lord entrusted me with and my current store that the Lord entrusted me with, I was doing a good job there. And so he was like, I spent the last couple of years making sure I was doing a really good job there. So now, years later, he's ready and feels ready for that second store. And I thought it was such a cool thing. And there's so many different nuggets in that, but it was like the humility it takes as a business owner when there's like success like right there for you to just grab, like, and let's just be honest, like there's dollars, like there's a certain dollar amount that comes with the second store, right? But for him to say, hey, I'm going to actually pass on this right now, that doesn't even interest me because I know that I want to be the best of my ability at shepherding this Chick-fil-A right now and investing in these team members and knowing them by name and being able to have relationships with my, and you can't be friends with, not friends, but you can't have relationships with everyone on your team. But it was just such a cool moment of like, man, this is what it's about. At the end of the day, it is about people, and it is about him as a leader wanting to make sure he was able to like care for his people and his team and his community well before then saying yes to a second store. And so I would say that's been like one of my most like memorable um moments as far as like a man, this is good, this is good, this company is different for sure.
No, that's powerful because 9 out of 10 people would likely, um, and I guess I'm saying this from the standpoint of we know what you said it, the dollar amounts that are associated with these opportunities, and so for someone to have the wherewithal and to say I'm not there yet, even
Mm.
though even though all the metrics might suggest when you look at him on paper probably would suggest that he's eligible, that he's suited, that he has the capacity to do it. But I think Truett would be proud to hear someone say, hey, I want to make sure that I'm the best steward with what's entrusted to me now, because when I take a self inventory of myself, I know there's areas that I can get better at. Now,
Yeah.
that's a, you could get too deep into that, but like, man, you have to know where your limitations are with the team that you have, so that
Yeah.
helps me, and I think that's very powerful. So with all this in mind, Leiah, and this conversation has been fantastic, and I appreciate your time. What's next for the Little Things Marketing Company? I know that you've had accelerated growth with this tour. I know that you've already been doing a great job for other entities outside of Chick-fil-A. Now that you've totally locked in on Chick-fil-A's, what does the next few years look like for you?
Yeah, that's a loaded question for sure. I think there's a lot of growth on the horizon, a lot of opportunity for growth. Something I care really a lot about, something I care a lot about. Just given kind of my story, the last 2 years of being an entrepreneur, I really care about the pace in which I grow and the pace in which the company grows. And the reason being is because, part of my story is my company grew really fast in year one, but it all came at a really ugly cost for me. And I had to pay that cost the end of last year. And I'm unwilling to do that again. And so when I think about the pace in which we grow, right? To be honest, there's a lot of opportunity like in my lap right now for me to like take on 50 new clients and for me to say yes to all of these things being asked of the company. And I don't mean that in a prideful way. I mean that in like there is like growth to be like had, there is growth to happen, but I am just unwilling to like say yes to everything and then internally be losing my mind again, not being able to work out, not be able to go home with family, not be able to sleep 8 hours a night, not be able to heal as an individual. And so when I think about what's next for Little Things Marketing, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, and we are going to, our team is growing. So I now have two full-time, two part-time, and we're doing good. We probably work with 16, 17 clients right now, and we've really been studying the world of Chick-fil-A's in the last 6 months, having a lot of conversations with operators that we work with, operators that we don't work with, directors, and just asking the question, how can we, as a Little Things Marketing, how can we come alongside of you and support you better? How can we meet the needs that you guys have? And so we've, over the last 6 months, really been creating a list of services to offer beyond just our social media marketing, which has been really fun to get to talk to operators, figure out what they need, create that, execute it, perfect it, to then be able to start offering it to other Chick-fil-A's. And so here in the next few months, we're going to be rolling out different services like our social media marketing services, obviously text message marketing, community outreach, where we're kind of doing relationship building on Chick-fil-A's behalf to get catering sales for them, doing marketing strategy to where we actually come on board. We help plan events, help build campaigns, help build promotional schedules, kind of roll out the strategy of their quarters based off of their annual goals, things like that. And so that's kind of where we're heading, is just continuing to see how can we serve operators in ways that they need it, and ways that will give them some relief, buy them back some time, buy them back some capacity, knowing that they can go and lead their people well, run their business well, all the while knowing that their marketing is being effective, engaging, and working, you know? And so there's some other things kind of behind the scenes that I'm working on as far as the little things go, and a lot of people that I'm kind of just intentionally networking with behind the scenes. And man, I've never felt more in my element. I've never felt, even in all the years that I was in ministry, all the years I was working for a church, I've never felt so in the exact place that the Lord intended for me, and the exact thing that the Lord created me to do than I do right now, like going from Chick-fil-A to Chick-fil-A to Chick-fil-A. And so it's a really, I feel really lucky. I feel really blessed to be in this place. 26, I'll be 27 in a couple days, where I just feel this like peace knowing that I am like walking into where the Lord wants me to be, and I want to be obedient. I want to continue just to say yes, you know, when I feel like the Lord wants me to say yes, and continue to just grow the business and try to be a good steward and care for my team well, care for my clients well, and continue to learn. And so that's what's next for us. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep growing, keep learning, keep taking days off, keep prioritizing my own personal health and healing. And yeah, just keep going.
No, that's awesome. I'm with all of that. It sounds like to me you're more concerned about deepening the relationship than being surface. I love that you're trying to get deeper into the marketing bag. Excuse my informal lingo there, but you're trying to get deeper into, because you find 10 great clients, and if you can offer them more than social media management, you can offer them 5 other services. You don't have to go out and find more business, because you're appealing more to what their needs are. So I love that. And I'm excited about, what's next for the little things marketing. I definitely will be continuing to watch and to
Of
participate
course.
in whatever way or capacity that we can participate in
Yeah.
here at TPE. um, is the door closed on the tour, or can operators still sign up? If they can sign up, where do they go?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a good bit of it's interesting. Our cities and our stops are already scheduled, meaning I the rest of my tour is already scheduled as far as how many days I'll be in what city and kind of when. However, there's some flexibility within the city. So I know like when I'm in Texas for almost a month. We probably have space for about 10 more stores between how many days that I'm like actually working and how many Chick-fil-A's I can do in a day. And so, I know like off my top of my head, New York, there's probably like 3 more Chick-fil-A's I could do in New York. So I would say, yeah, the door's definitely open. I've been telling anyone that's reached out afterwards, like, hey, fill the form out. And if I can fit it in, great. If not, 2025, I'm going to continue doing this to some degree. I'm going to continue to hopefully travel and just meet and network and stuff like that. So, yeah, it never hurts to do that. So if you go to the littlethingsmarketing.com/CFA hyphen photo shoot, but it's also on the homepage. So erase all that. If you just go to the littlethingsmarketing.com, it's on the homepage. And there'll just be like a really quick booking form that just asks like city and state that you're in, your address, and which Chick-fil-A you're with, and things like that. And then, yeah, we'll get the alert and we'll see if it fits in. And if it does, we'll get you booked. And if not, we'll kind of let you know that we'll have to stop in 2025. So I say yes, doors open.
Awesome. And if someone wants to follow the journey, how do they connect with you?
Yeah, of course. So they can follow me. Man, they can follow the company, the Little Things Marketing on Instagram. We try to post every day, post a lot of fun content from the tour. But I also personally am really growing my LinkedIn, and I'm really active on LinkedIn. And so if they want to connect with me on LinkedIn, that'd be great. It's just my name, Leiah Roberson. And I typically post a good bit of just business stuff, leadership stuff, marketing stuff, handful of just personal things here and there. And so, yeah, I would love to connect with as many people and grab coffee with people when I'm on the road. I know I'm gonna try linking up with you once I'm in Texas. And yeah, and if you're an operator out there, if you're listening to this and you may think, man, I'm curious about what they do. I'm curious about what a partnership could look like. I would love the chance to talk with you even about that. So if you go to our website, littlethingsmarketing.com, our discovery call is also on the homepage. You can kind of look around at what we do, who we are, things like that. And yeah, I would love to just stay connected and meet new people. And hopefully, as the company grows and as our reach grows, we're going to be able to help more and more operators and just keep going, man.
Well, there you have it. Thank you so much, Leah, for sharing your story, for being always candid and transparent. If you follow her on LinkedIn, you know she's very transparent about her experiences. That's probably one of the things that make people gravitate to her. A lot of things that you talked about, that human to human connection, I believe that you are living that out, at least in terms of what I see from you on LinkedIn and in the other areas that I see your content. So I can appreciate you being real and authentic. I'm hoping nothing but the best for you in all the endeavors that you are doing, wherever your feet land. Hopefully, it's prosperous, and you are continuing to grow your business. And hopefully, everybody that comes in contact with the Little Things Marketing company is better for it. So appreciate you, Leah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the Pivot Experience podcast. This is another great one. If you're into marketing, she kind of laid out the game plan. If you want to get a marketing company off the ground, get crazy and travel the country and travel the whole country in 6 months. And I'm guaranteeing you're gonna make some things happen. But I'm sure it's more to it than that.
Right.
But thank you, Leah. And until next time, TPE family, peace.
Tap into the Pivot Experience, where we help young, hungry entrepreneurs move on to the next step.